Chapter 1: The Arrival. In the picturesque town of Willowbrook, nestled amidst rolling hills and lush meadows, life unfolded at a leisurely pace. It was a place where time seemed to stand still, where the chirping of birds and the gentle rustle of leaves provided the soundtrack to everyday existence. And in the heart of this idyllic setting, there lived a donkey named Bernard. Bernard was not your average donkey. While his companions spent their days contentedly munching on grass and basking in the sun, Bernard's restless spirit led him on countless adventures, each more whimsical than the last. Whether it was getting lost in the nearby forest or befriending the mischievous squirrels that called it home, Bernard was always on the lookout for excitement. On this particular morning, as the sun cast its golden rays across the sleepy town, Bernard found himself ambling along the cobblestone streets with an air of curiosity. His hooves clip-clopped against the ancient stones, the rhythmic sound a comforting companion to his wandering thoughts. As he meandered through the town square, his ears twitched with anticipation, sensing that today held the promise of something extraordinary. And then, as if drawn by an invisible force, Bernard's gaze fell upon a grand building at the edge of the square, a building unlike any he had ever seen. Its towering pillars reached skyward, while colorful flags fluttered in the breeze, casting playful shadows on the cobblestones below. Intrigued by the sight, Bernard felt a surge of excitement coursing through his veins. Without a second thought, he trotted towards the imposing structure, his curiosity piqued by what lay within. As Bernard crossed the threshold into the hallowed halls of the government office, he was greeted by a scene of bustling activity. Office workers scurried to and fro, their faces etched with a sense of purpose as they went about their daily tasks. Papers rustled, phones rang incessantly, and the air hummed with an undercurrent of urgency. Bernard stood rooted to the spot, his eyes wide with wonder as he took in the sights and sounds around him. Unbeknownst to Bernard, his arrival had not gone unnoticed. From the depths of the bustling office emerged a harried-looking clerk, his brow furrowed with confusion at the sight of the unexpected visitor. "What in the world?" he muttered, his voice trailing off as he caught sight of Bernard standing in the doorway, a picture of innocence amidst the chaos. But before the clerk could utter another word, Bernard let out a bray that echoed through the halls, sending the office workers into a frenzy of laughter and disbelief. Papers flew into the air like confetti, and coffee cups clattered to the ground as everyone marveled at the sight of a donkey standing amidst them, his presence both bewildering and oddly endearing. And so, dear reader, our story begins with Bernard's arrival at the government office, a moment that would set in motion a series of events as whimsical and unpredictable as the donkey himself. Little did Bernard know, his journey was only just beginning, and the adventures that lay ahead would take him to places he had never dreamed possible. But for now, amidst the chaos and laughter of the bustling office, Bernard stood tall and proud, his hooves firmly planted on the threshold of a new and exciting chapter in his life. Chapter 2: Chaos Ensues. As Bernard stood amidst the whirlwind of activity in the government office, he couldn't help but feel a sense of bewilderment at the chaos unfolding around him. Office workers scurried about in a frenzy, their faces contorted with a mixture of surprise and amusement at the sight of a donkey in their midst. Papers flew through the air like confetti, propelled by the gusts of laughter that echoed through the halls. Despite the commotion, Bernard remained surprisingly calm, his ears twitching with curiosity as he observed the flurry of activity around him. His presence seemed to have cast a spell over the office workers, transforming the once stuffy corridors of bureaucracy into a playground of laughter and merriment. But amidst the laughter and chaos, a lone figure emerged from the crowd, a harried-looking clerk with a frazzled expression and a clipboard clutched tightly in his grasp. He approached Bernard with a mixture of incredulity and resignation, his eyes wide with disbelief at the sight before him. "What in the world is a donkey doing in the government office?" he muttered, shaking his head in bemusement. But before Bernard could offer an explanation, the clerk found himself swept up in the tide of laughter that engulfed the office, his protests drowned out by the chorus of brays and giggles that filled the air. As the laughter subsided and the chaos began to ebb, a sense of camaraderie settled over the office workers as they gathered around Bernard, their initial shock giving way to curiosity and amusement. They marveled at the sight of the unlikely visitor who had brought a ray of sunshine into their otherwise mundane day, his presence a welcome distraction from the rigors of office life. And so, amidst the laughter and camaraderie of the bustling office, Bernard found himself embraced by his newfound friends, his hooves firmly planted on the threshold of a new and exciting adventure. Little did he know, his impromptu visit to the government office would set in motion a series of events that would change the course of his life forever. But for now, as the laughter echoed through the halls and the sun cast its golden rays through the windows, Bernard stood tall and proud, his heart brimming with joy at the thought of the adventures that lay ahead. Chapter 3: A Donkey's Duties. As the days passed, Bernard settled into his role as the unofficial mascot of the government office with surprising ease. His presence brought a sense of levity to the once stuffy corridors, transforming them into a haven of laughter and camaraderie. From delivering memos with impeccable precision to brightening up dull meetings with his infectious braying, Bernard approached his newfound responsibilities with enthusiasm and gusto. Each morning, as the sun cast its golden rays over the town of Willowbrook, Bernard could be found trotting through the cobblestone streets with a sense of purpose, his ears perked up in anticipation of the day's adventures. Office workers greeted him with smiles and laughter as he made his way to the government office, his hooves clip-clopping against the ancient stones in a cheerful rhythm. Inside the bustling office, Bernard's presence was met with a mixture of amusement and delight by the office workers, who had grown accustomed to his impromptu visits and endearing antics. They marveled at his ability to bring joy to even the most mundane of tasks, his infectious enthusiasm serving as a constant source of inspiration to all who crossed his path. From organizing office picnics to leading impromptu dance parties in the break room, Bernard's days were filled with a myriad of duties, each more whimsical than the last. He took his responsibilities seriously, always eager to lend a helping hoof wherever it was needed, whether it was fetching a cup of coffee for a weary clerk or brightening up a gloomy Monday morning with his playful antics. But amidst the laughter and camaraderie, Bernard never lost sight of his true purpose, to bring joy to the lives of those around him and to remind them that even in the midst of chaos, there is always room for laughter and friendship. And so, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the office emptied out for the day, Bernard could be found standing proudly amidst the chaos and laughter of the bustling office, his heart brimming with happiness at the thought of the adventures that lay ahead. Chapter 4: The Mayor's Visit. As word of Bernard's newfound fame spread throughout the town of Willowbrook, it was only a matter of time before his escapades caught the attention of none other than the esteemed mayor herself. Intrigued by the tales of the donkey who had brought a ray of sunshine into the government office, the mayor decided to pay a visit, eager to see the phenomenon for herself. On the appointed day, the town square buzzed with excitement as townsfolk gathered to catch a glimpse of their beloved mascot and the esteemed mayor. Bernard, ever the center of attention, stood proudly amidst the crowd, his ears perked up in anticipation of the day's events. As the mayor's entourage arrived, Bernard greeted them with a friendly nuzzle and a mischievous twinkle in his eye, his presence eliciting cheers and applause from the gathered crowd. The mayor, a regal figure clad in her finest attire, stepped forward with a warm smile, her eyes alight with curiosity as she surveyed the scene before her. "Ah, Bernard the donkey," she exclaimed, her voice carrying across the square. "It seems you've made quite the impression on our humble town." Bernard brayed in response, his heart swelling with pride at the mayor's words. He had never imagined that his adventures would garner such attention, let alone attract the interest of the town's most esteemed figure. Intrigued by Bernard's ability to bring joy to even the most mundane of tasks, the mayor spent the afternoon touring the government office, accompanied by Bernard and a retinue of office workers eager to showcase their beloved mascot's talents. From delivering memos with impeccable precision to organizing impromptu sing-alongs in the break room, Bernard left an indelible impression on the mayor and her entourage, his infectious enthusiasm serving as a testament to the power of laughter and camaraderie. Impressed by Bernard's unwavering dedication to spreading joy throughout the town, the mayor declared him the honorary director of happiness for Willowbrook, a title Bernard wore with pride, his brays of approval echoing through the square. And so, as the sun set on another day in Willowbrook, Bernard stood tall and proud amidst the cheers and applause of the gathered crowd, his heart brimming with happiness at the thought of the adventures that lay ahead. For Bernard the donkey, the journey was only just beginning, and with the mayor's seal of approval, there was no telling what wonders awaited him in the days to come. Chapter 5: A Misadventure Unfolds. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, Bernard's presence in the government office had become as natural as the sunrise. His antics brought laughter and joy to the office workers, his brays echoing through the halls like a symphony of happiness. But amidst the laughter and camaraderie, Bernard's restless spirit yearned for adventure, and it wasn't long before fate intervened to grant his wish. One fateful afternoon, as the sun dipped low in the sky and the office emptied out for the day, Bernard found himself seized by a sudden urge to explore. With a twinkle in his eye and a spring in his step, he set off on what would soon prove to be his most daring escapade yet, a journey through the labyrinthine corridors of the government office, guided by nothing but his insatiable curiosity. As Bernard trotted through the dimly lit corridors, his hooves echoing against the cold stone floors, he couldn't help but feel a sense of exhilaration at the thought of what lay ahead. Each twist and turn brought him closer to the heart of the building, where secrets awaited to be uncovered. But alas, Bernard's adventure took an unexpected turn when he stumbled upon a room filled with stacks of paperwork taller than he was. Determined to uncover the secrets hidden within, Bernard dove headfirst into the mountain of documents, his hooves flying as he searched for clues. As he sifted through the endless piles of paperwork, Bernard couldn't help but feel a sense of frustration mounting within him. The documents seemed to stretch on for miles, each one more cryptic than the last. But just as he was about to give up hope, Bernard's keen eyes caught sight of something glimmering amidst the chaos, a golden seal hidden amongst the sea of papers. With renewed determination, Bernard reached out and grasped the seal in his hoof, his heart pounding with excitement at the discovery. Little did he know, this seemingly innocuous trinket would set in motion a chain of events that would test his courage and resilience like never before. But for now, as Bernard stood amidst the towering stacks of paperwork, his mind a whirlwind of excitement and anticipation, he couldn't help but feel a sense of exhilaration at the thought of the adventures that lay ahead. And with the golden seal clutched tightly in his hoof, he set off into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges fate had in store. Chapter 6: The Happy Ending. As Bernard delved deeper into the labyrinthine corridors of the government office, his mind ablaze with excitement and anticipation, little did he know that his misadventure would soon reach its climax in the most unexpected of ways. With the golden seal clutched tightly in his hoof, he pressed onward, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. But as Bernard ventured further into the depths of the building, he soon found himself ensnared in a maze of corridors and hallways, each one more confusing than the last. The flickering torches cast eerie shadows on the walls, their dim light barely illuminating the path ahead. Despite his best efforts, Bernard couldn't shake the feeling of unease that gnawed at him from within. Just when it seemed as though all hope was lost, a glimmer of light appeared on the horizon, a beacon of hope amidst the darkness. With renewed determination, Bernard forged ahead, his hooves pounding against the cold stone floors as he raced towards the light. And then, as if by magic, Bernard burst into a room bathed in golden light, his eyes widening in disbelief at the sight before him. Before him stood a group of office workers, their faces alight with excitement as they cheered and applauded his arrival. In their midst stood the harried clerk who had first discovered Bernard in the government office, a smile of relief spreading across his face at the sight of his unexpected savior. "We've been searching for you everywhere, Bernard," exclaimed the clerk, his voice filled with gratitude. "We feared you had gotten lost in the maze of corridors." But Bernard paid little heed to the clerk's words, his attention drawn to the figure standing at the center of the room, the mayor herself. With a warm smile, she approached Bernard, her eyes alight with admiration. "You truly are a remarkable donkey, Bernard," she said, her voice filled with warmth. "You've brought joy and laughter to our town in ways we never thought possible." And with those words, the mayor presented Bernard with a golden key, a symbol of his newfound status as a hero in the eyes of the town. Overwhelmed with emotion, Bernard accepted the key with a grateful bray, his heart swelling with pride at the thought of the adventures that lay ahead. And so, dear reader, our story comes to a close with Bernard standing tall amidst the cheers and applause of the gathered crowd, his heart brimming with happiness at the thought of the adventures that lay ahead. For Bernard the donkey, the journey was far from over, but one thing was certain: he had found his place in the world, and with it, a sense of belonging that would last a lifetime.